Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Pi for those that do not know. And we are back for another review of Love is Blind Season 6, Episode 3. Before we get started, I would just like to remind you all to go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe so that way you'll get notified every time I drop one of these videos and you don't miss out. All right, let's go ahead and get started because the episode starts where the last one ended with Amy and Johnny, and they are at the big reveal. So the doors open, and they both look like they were pleasantly surprised. I mean, these two are all over each other, just kissing, kissing, kissing. And sometimes we see the couples and they have that like awkward kiss or like peck. They're not kind of sure. I don't know if they talked about it because they didn't show it in the pause, like, how are you going to kiss me when you see me? So I don't know if that was discussed or not, but sometimes couples, they just do like a quick peck, like, and not these two. They were kissing like they have known each other forever. I also feel like it was like a nervous kiss because they would talk and then they would kiss again, then they would talk and then they would kiss again. But it seems like they are both attracted to each other. And although, what's her name? Amy says that Johnny is not someone that she would normally go for in the real world. So I was like, let me remember that. But as for now, they definitely seem like they are into each other. And so, like I said, they kiss and they have a nice reveal. He proposes again. Of course, he gets down on one knee. And we have our first couple. So we're back in the women's quarters and we see Laura, and she is talking to Danielle and Sunny. And she is talking about she's giving she's talking about a funny story. She said that she didn't say who it was, but someone that she was dating in the pods, it came up about how she meets people, and she was telling a very funny story about her techniques and the things that she does. And she said she would go into bars and sometimes she would just stare at a guy until he comes over, and I'm thinking, girl, that's giving serial killer. Don't do that. Don't do that, baby. That's weird. And she's like, if I'm drunk, really like tipsy or whatever, I look like real woozy when I'm staring at them. I'm like, oh my God, this girl is so funny. But I really like her sense of humor, and she has a good personality. Laura's growing on me. I like Laura. She's really growing on me. And so it looks like we go over to the men's quarter, and we see Clay, and he's super emotional. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, why is he so emotional? And I forgot the last time that he was talking with AD, it didn't go too well. He was flipping out about the whole Matthew thing. So he was just talking to Jamal, and we never get to see Jamal. Like, can we please see Jamal on Netflix? He's talking to Jamal, and he's telling him, how he's just like a ball of emotion, and he has like his walls up, and he's not mad that he's crying. He just there's like these perceptions of him, and his emotions are just all over the place, and he just wants to be appreciated. And I'm like, okay. We have heard on like so many seasons in the past, the contestants always talk about how deep you get in like your emotions, and like how deep the connections get in a short period of time, because there's nothing to distract you. So it's nothing like dating in the real world, as they would say. And that's how you're able to build these deep connections. And I mean, I've always been like, I wonder how true that is, but I guess it's true because homeboy was balling. Okay. So we see him with AD, and he goes ahead and apologizes for, you know, the way he reacted when she told him about Matthew. And then she goes into talking about Matthew again. I'm like, girl, the man has had enough, okay? And then he is like talking about his growth and um you know, the type of man that he wants to be and all these things. And AD just like interrupts him and starts giving her opinion. I'm like, I really wish she didn't do that. I love AD, but I really wish she wouldn't do that because I wanted to hear exactly what he was going to say, but she just interrupted him. And I'm like, girl, don't do that. And then she says, like, I'll never stop loving you. And I'm thinking, did did you guys say that you loved each other? I must have missed that part. I must have missed that part. But she was like, I'll never give up on you. I don't know if she was speaking like in as a whole, like this is just how I am in relationships when I love someone. But she was like, I would never give up on you. I'll always I'll never stop loving you. Even if, you know, I'm mad and I hang the phone up, I'll call you back. And she is just like building him up and building him up and building him up. And it just reminds me of the comment that she has made about her being, you know, one of those women who like to like fix a man up. ADI, it worries me. It really does. So we see Kenneth and Brittany, and she walks in the room, and he has it so nice. It's set up with like all this different paint, and they're getting ready to paint. And he has her a nice salad. And she's like, "A girl is hungry, honey. I'm glad you got some food up in here." Yes, I like her personality. She's really fun and sweet. And I really like them together too. They're a real cute couple. We haven't really seen them with anybody else, so I don't know if they had already narrowed it down to just those two, but those are the only two that, you know, we see them with each other. So I'm really enjoying their dates. And she says, "What is your family's ethnicity? Ethnicity? I can't talk. Ethnicity. Did I say that right? I probably didn't. I can't say that word. Are you black?" That's what she should have said. "Are you black? Because your voice is giving black." And he was like, "Black." And she was like, "Oh, okay." She was like, "I thought so, but I wasn't for sure." And he was like, "I'm guessing you're white." And she's like, "Yeah." And then he asked her, you know, if she's comfortable like being around black people or like being in a relationship with a black man, I guess. And she was like, "Yeah, like, you know, that's never been a problem for me." And then he goes into this whole thing of trying to guess her hair color, and I'm no length, the length of her hair. And he was like, "I think it's long. I think it's long. I'm gonna go with long. Am I right?" And she's like, "I told you I wasn't gonna tell you. I'm not confirming. We're just having a fun little game." And then she said, and he was like, "Okay, do me." And she's like, "I think that you're like, like I don't know how to say this." I'm like, "Oh Lord, what's she about to say?" And she says, like stout, like not short, but like, you know, like stocky and like, you know, stout, but like a good height. He's like, "What's a good height?" I'm like, "Girl." She was like, I'm like, "Girl, don't say nothing crazy." And so, which he looks tall enough. And she was like, "Just as long as you're not 5'4", please don't be 5'4". And he was like, "What if I am 5'4"? And she says, "Well, I guess I'm just gonna have to trust this process." So they're really cute. I like them. I like them. I like seeing them together. Um, so then next we see Laura, and she's talking to Sunny about her date with Jeremy. And I'm like, "Oh Lord." Um, Chelsea, was it Chelsea? Yes. I'm like, she's standing right there. So she was like, just basically saying like how compatible she is with him. No, I'm sorry. It's Sarah. That's the triangle. It's Laura, Sarah, and Jeremy. So I think Sunny was like really close. Because when they have these conversations, I'm like, y'all know the people are standing right there, unless you don't care. But she was, she was just saying like how close and like how compatible they are, and she's never been that compatible with anybody in her life. And I'm like, oh gosh, because at first, if you remember my last video, I thought that Jeremy was more into Sonny because when he came in the room and Laura was in there and he was like, I know who this is, or she told him, I think he said it, I know who this is, and she was like, who? And he said, Sonny, Sarah Ann, and she was like, oh, no. And so in my mind, I was like, that must be who he wanted to see. But now we see them on a date because she's talking to Sonny, but she's getting ready to go into a date with him. And they have a really, really good date. And so she asked him, does he snore? He's like, actually, I have sleep apnea and I have a Z-Pack, and Z-Pack, I think it is. And she was like, oh my goodness. And he was like, well, I didn't bring it with me. And she's like, what? How are you sleeping? And how are we going to sleep on our honeymoon? He was like, who said we was going to be doing any sleeping? We ain't going to be doing no sleeping. She's like, oh my God. I'm like, Lord have mercy, y'all are too much. And so then she brings up holidays. She's like, walk me through Thanksgiving, like Christmas holidays or whatever. And she says that holidays, she hates Christmas. And my heart just sunk into my chest because I love Christmas. Christmas is like my favorite holiday. I love, love, love Christmas. It's like the best time of the year, like the most happiest time of the year. Everybody's so nice and sweet, and you're buying gifts and presents for everybody, and everybody's in the Christmas spirit. It's all decorated with the lights and the Christmas trees, and I don't know how anybody can not like Christmas. But as she's going more into the story, I understand what she means about it. So she was saying that, Christmas is just not the same for her anymore. And he's like, yeah, I have a similar story. My family used to always be together. My grandma's Italian, and she would always cook all this stuff. And my cousins would always come over, and, we had like this real big Christmas. And, his dad passed away, and he said, things have changed or whatever. So he said he was talking to his grandmother the other day, and he was saying how he misses Christmas, with the whole big old family, everybody getting together, because it's been so long since they've done that. And when I tell you that resonated with me, like, wow, I'm like, that is like my life. Like, my family doesn't get together no more like that either, and it's definitely sad. So I definitely understood where he was coming from with that. But his grandmother said, something really important. She said, well, if you miss that, you're going to have to recreate it. And so he was like, okay. So he was telling Laura, he was saying, when I get married and have my family, that's what I want to do. I want to have the Christmas tree and the lights and the presents, and put the little footprints on the floor so the kids think that Santa brought the presents. And I was like, oh, this is so cute. So I really like the dynamic between the two of them. They have some things in common and great chemistry. So I really do like them. But then we see him with Sarah Ann. And he said, oh, but before we see him with Sarah Ann, he says, Laura feels like home to me. She's my number one. So that's why I was like, oh, okay. I thought Sarah was his number one, which he never said it. I just assumed that. So he's saying that Laura is his number one. So then we see him with Sarah next, Sarah Ann. And he says it's similar with Sarah, except for she brings out like a different vibe than Laura does. But he still, likes her a lot. He even tells her that he respects her. And so when they're in the pods, they're talking about she was saying something about her Botox, and she was asking the girls, was her Botox drooping? And I could see on his face a little bit. He was like, oh, okay, okay. And then I feel like he said this to see what she was going to say. And he said something about the fillers in his lips. And she was like, you have fillers in your lips? And he was like, no, I'm just joking. And he asked her if she had them. And she was like, yeah. And he said, which one, your top or your bottom? And she was like, well, both. And then he was like, okay. And so he said she had made a comment about social media and taking pictures, and she, wants her husband to be the type of person, if she's like, hey baby, can you take my picture over there? And she don't want him to be like, oh God, here we go again. And so when she said that, he was like, can I ask you a question? How many followers do you have on your social media? And she says, why? Is that a deal breaker? And he was like, no. I'm sorry, my eyes itching. And he's like, no. And I can't remember how many she had, but she didn't have that. I think she said 4,000, right? He was like, wow. I'm thinking, I got 4,000. Like, that's nothing. But is that a deal breaker for y'all? Is a lot of followers on social media a deal breaker? Because I know my son told me once that if a girl has like, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 like likes and comments on her picture, then that's a no for him. And I'm like, wow, really? Because I have that on my picture, on some of my pictures. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Why? So that is my question, everybody. Let me know in the comments, is if someone has a substantial amount of followers or subscribers or friends or whatever platform it is that a deal breaker for you? Let me know in the comments, y'all. So, and then she says, I think she said 30,000 on TikTok, and he was like, what? And she's like, well, I mean, like, I don't even know those people. Like, it's just like, I think I put a picture up and it kind of like blew up or whatever. And so he was just like, okay, okay, okay. And like I said, his dad passed away, and he was telling her the story about when his dad passed away. He got in a car accident. He told Laura that his father had passed, but he didn't tell Laura the story. And so he said that he is in a cemetery in Florida, and if they make it that far, that he would, take her. And she was like, oh, that's so sweet. I would love to go there with you. And he was like, yeah, I just, when I go down there, I just, get me a chair and just chill and get me a book and just, chill there, just like take the day off or whatever, and just chill there with my dad, which I thought that was really nice. And so, oh my goodness, it's time for our second couple, y'all. So we get Brittany and Kenneth. And when she walks in the room, he has sunflowers, which I absolutely love sunflowers. They're one of my newest favorite flowers. And he had one single rose, which I think is cute. I love one single rose. But my favorite flowers are hydrangeas. I love hydrangeas and sunflowers. But anyway, so yeah, so she walks in the room and she has the flowers waiting for her, and he starts, talking to her and letting her know how much he loves her and appreciates her, and he wants to, build this beautiful relationship and family with her, and he wants to ask for her hand in marriage, and she's just like over there just giddy and smiling and laughing and so happy and teary-eyed, and of course she was like, yes. And so now we have our second engaged couple. And the next couple we see in the pods is JJ, Jimmy and Jessica. I call them JJ. I like them together. I think I said that in my last video. So they have the cutest wine bottles. The wine bottles are gold, like the golden goblets that they drink from. But on the wine bottle, it says, love is wine. Where can I get one of those? That is so cute. I want one. But I wonder what kind of wine is in there. But it's really cute. I want the wine bottle and the goblet. Is that what it's called? I hope it is. But anyway, so he's asking her, like, describe a typical day with you and your daughter. And she's going down the list of, I'll pick her up from school and we'll go and get, a snack, and then we'll come home and we'll do this and we'll do that. And as she's talking and going into details with everything, he's like cracking his knuckles. And she's like, are you cracking your knuckles? And he was like, yeah. She was like, why? That is just so, it just, it annoys me. No, I think she said, gets me it irks me or something she said. I'm like, cracking knuckles does that to you? And I think she complained earlier I'm not sure if that was her or not. So let me not say that. Don't mark my word on that one, but I think she complained earlier about something that was like that annoyed her. So I'm like, you get aggravated really quick. It's given I get aggravated really quick. And he was like, yeah, I'm just trying to say. She's like, it irritates me. And he was like, I'm just trying to irritate you. And she's like, on purpose? Like, why would you try to irritate me on purpose? And so then she asked him about social media. So social media comes up again. She was like, I need to ask you something. How many, like, who do you follow on social media? Or how many followers you have? Something to that nature. And he was like, college friends, coworkers, friends, family, like comedians. Like, he was like, I don't really follow people that I don't know. And she was like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and be transparent with you. I specifically asked this question because my ex, he was like, following like women and looking up women. And she's just basically saying like, I have a problem with men who, spend time on Facebook drooling over women basically. And she's like, I'm saying, like, if it just pops up, she said basically there's a difference between admiring a woman's beauty and being disrespectful. And I completely agree with her 100%, especially if you're in a relationship. She was, even if people are like, oh wait, that's just on social media. I don't care. I don't care. You don't need to be going to this person's page every day. Like, no, 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 no. And so he was like, yeah, no, I'm a lover boy. Like, you don't have to worry about that. And she was like, okay, well, I'm just letting you know, like, that's like absolutely not cool. Um, it's me, all of me, or none of me. And I'm like, okay, Jessica, girl, tell them, honey, because I agree wholeheartedly. Oh, look, tell them how you feel, make it plain. So now we see Chelsea and Jimmy, and she's like, everybody's emotional. Everybody's emotional today. She's really like emotional right out the gate, and she was telling him that someone had asked her if she was dating him, and I think that someone is Jessica. And so he was like, "Oh man, I'm sorry that you had to deal with that or whatever." And he was like, I was talking to Trevor, and the guys are always usually a little bit more calm than the women are when it comes to these situations that we've seen on Love Is Blind, when it comes to the triangles and the quad angles or whatever they're called. And so yeah, he was like, I told him that I like you or whatever. And earlier we saw Trevor before we saw them in their date, before we saw Chelsea and Jimmy in their date, and we saw Trevor earlier in the men's quarters, and he was saying, I don't know why he said this, but he said something like, if everybody knew who everyone liked, like we all could get what we wanted or something to that effect. I'm like, it's not going to work like that, baby. I wish it was that simple, but it's not. Because it's always going to be somebody who wants the person that doesn't want them and vice versa. Like, that's just how life goes. It sucks, but that's just life. I like Trevor, but no, Trevor, that's not it. And so anyway, so yeah, so he was just telling Trevor that he does like her, and he told Chelsea, if you pick me or Trevor, if you don't pick me and I pick you, or just basically however it works out, it's just what's meant to be, it will be. We're only here for a short amount of time to try to find the love of our lives and get married, and the chips are going to fall the way that they are. So it's all good. And he said, but I do still want to get to know you more. And at first I was like, is he breaking up with her? What is going on here? But he told her no. He was like, I like you a lot, and I still do want to get to know more of you. And he also said, I could see life with you being really fun. And then Chelsea says, you haven't done anything or said anything crazy, but you are everything I've ever wanted in my entire life. And then it was like crickets. Like he said nothing. I don't know if that was editing, but he literally said absolutely nothing. And, you know, the conversation just ended. I'm like, wow, okay. And then we have another moment of something very similar. So the very last date of the night, I guess it is Chelsea and Trevor. And Trevor walks in the room and he's excited to see her. And he was saying like, he was like, yeah, he was like, I'm so excited to see you. Like, I've been waiting all day, all night. He was like, yeah, they saved the best for last. And he was like, yeah, this is my only date. And she was like, what? And he was like, yeah, I've cut everybody else off. You're the only person that I'm dating right now. And he said the other day that he was in a date with somebody else, but the whole time, like, he wanted to be with her. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Trevor's such a sweet guy. And he was like, I really could see marriage with you. And she's just like, oh, and she's just taking it all in. And she's like happy and overwhelmed with emotion. She's been very emotional today. Her and the whole entire cast has been emotional all day long. And she asked him, she said, so tell me, like, what are, some of your fears, like, in this experiment? And he was like, I don't really have any. And so she says, so you don't have a fear, like, if you open the door or when the curtains open or we have the big reveal and like you see me and I'm not what you like? And he was like, you mean you might not be my normal type? And she was like, yeah. And he was like, I mean, that's what this experiment is all about. But it doesn't matter because I love you. And I was like, oh my God. And she was like, what? And he was like, yeah, I said it. He was like, I love you. And literally, she was quiet for a while. She was like, oh my God, I'm like, she said, I feel like I can just fall out or get knocked out or something. I think she said pass out. Yeah. She was like, oh my God, like, I feel like I'm about to pass out. She was like, but that's a good response. So, don't take it as a bad thing. And he's like, oh no, I didn't. That's like kind of like in the real world. If someone says they love you, you like on a cloud, basically. You want to pass out. And not one time did she say it back. And so she ends up getting up and leaving. She's like, well, I'm going to see you tomorrow. And they show him still sitting there after she walked out of the room, out of the pod. And he sat there for a while. And I feel like he was thinking in his mind, she didn't say it back. So she goes back into the women's quarters and she's telling them that, oh my God, y'all, he said that he loves me and I just had my date with Trevor and he said that he loves me and I'm just so used to guys being mean to me. Like, I just didn't even know what to do. Like, I was just like stuck. I was frozen and she's crying. Like, all the girls are gathered around her and she's talking to them about it. And she's just saying like how I don't want to make, the wrong decision or whatever because, he knows about Jimmy and Jessica is standing right there. And so Jessica, like, immediately when she hears Jimmy's name, she's like, and she walks off to the kitchen. It's like, oh my God, I don't want to hear this, but I do want to hear this. So I'm going to stand close enough where I can hear, but I don't want to be too close. And she's just like, at the end of the day, I want to leave here married, but I just want to make sure that I make the right decision. And that's the end of the episode. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just getting better and better. So I cannot wait to see what happens on the next episode. That will be episode 4. So we should be getting close to them, everybody like making decision day. I think decision day is like at 5 or like day 5 or 6, something like that. So we should be getting real close. I feel like this season we have been in the pods for a long time, which is good because I like to see them in the pods. I feel like they get to know each other more if they spend more time in the pods versus, hurry up and proposing and getting out of the pods. And it was Chelsea when she went in the pods with Trevor. she asked him, did Matthew leave for real? And he said yes. So we didn't see Matthew this episode at all. So I don't know, will we see him again? In my last video I said that he's trying to pull what's Bliss? Bliss and oh my god, I can't think of his Zach. I think he's trying to pull a Zach and Bliss move with Amber. So I'm pretty sure he'll pop back up. Even if we don't see him until after they come back from Mexico, I feel like we'll see Matthew again because Matthew wanted to be on TV, honey. Okay? So I feel like we'll see Matthew again. But I really enjoyed this episode. It was really good. The only thing that I will say that I cannot stand is I hate seeing everybody have all these really good conversations with people in the living quarters, but we never see those people on dates. We saw Jamal one time, very quickly. He walked in the room, sat down, split his tight ass church pants, and that was his date. That was a snippet of a date that we saw with him. I don't think we've ever seen Alejandra on a date, but we always see her going in a room. Sunny, like these people have real good personalities. Why did we don't get to see them? I mean, even if they don't follow them, at least let us see them on one freaking whole date. Like, but I guess if they do that, then they're gonna have to show more of them. So I don't understand production. I guess I'm not a producer. But anyways, that was the episode, guys. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Hit that bell so next time you'll be notified when I drop the next one. See y'all next time. Bye.